Dolly sang and wrote from the heart, turning hard times into monster hits.
That there is no phoniness about Dolly Parton, and I think that is, in effect, her long suit.
Thank you, Kitty.
And then there was Hollywood.
It's not her boobs that precede her through a door, it's her laughter. And then her boobs come.
It's always, you know, like, oh, I'm so sorry, Dolly. Oh, I'm sorry, darling, forgive me. I'm so sorry.
God gave me plenty. He hadn't wanted me to use all the stuff he gave me. You know, he'd probably given it to somebody else.
But along the way was plenty of heartache.
She had some personal betrayals of people that she thought were on her side, and she found that they weren't.
And a near-fatal meltdown.
It's like commit suicide. Why? I'm waking up dead every day. I feel like I died, went to hillbilly heaven.
This is the incredible tale of one classy, sassy Southern belle. In her words, as only she can tell it.
If I see something wagging, sagging, dragging, and bagging, I'm going to get it nipped, tucked or something.
This is the story of Dolly Parton, the true Hollywood story.
Back through the years I go wandering once again, back to the seasons of my youth, and I recall a box of rags that someone gave us, and how my mama put the rags to use. People used to send Mama lots of scraps to make quilt tops and things out of, because she made all the quilts for our beds. And this one particular time I had needed a coat, and she didn't have enough of one color. I really went to school so proud, thinking I was just beautiful. And the kids all laughed at my coat and, you know, said it was just rags and we was poor. And I went home so crushed and so hurt and told Mama about it. And that's when she said, you know, we don't have money, but you don't have to have money to be rich. Now, I know we had no money, but I was rich as I could be in my coat of many colors my mama made for me.
Dolly Parton became one of the richest, most prolific singer-songwriters in music history, with more than 3,000 songs to her name. But before she got to Nashville and Hollywood, the gifted country girl had to overcome a lifetime of overwhelming obstacles. Summertime, 1939. The great Smoky Mountains of Tennessee. 17-year-old Robert Lee Parton met 15-year-old Avi Lee Owens. And within days, the couple married. Soul-draining poverty didn't stop the Partons from having a slew of kids. 12 in all. On January 19th, 1946, Dolly Rebecca became baby number 4.
6 of us were born at home. I was one of the ones born at home, and the last in were born at, in hospitals, because Mama had complications, as she would, because she had no real care and no vitamins or any of that. Like the people are in the mountains. She loved her children, even though she had one on her and one in her for as long as I can remember.
Dad Robert supported his family by working the land.
In my very early days, my dad was a sharecropper, and we lived on this old woman's farm, and my dad kept up her place. We raised hogs, just enough to kill, not enough to sell, but enough to have, meat for the winter.
Home sweet home had no electricity and no indoor plumbing.
Us girls all slept in the same bed, and if you had to go to the bathroom at night, you were afraid to go out by yourself. In the mountains there, it's scary. And so you'd shake somebody, make them wake up and say, "Get up, you gotta go outdoors with me."
It's not any fun, believe me. And sometimes some of them didn't get up and make it. And I think the Parton family invented the waterbed.
Dolly's mom, Avie Lee, struggled to cope. She often suffered bouts of depression.
My mother was pregnant so much that she had postpartum depression, and depression is such a mental illness. I don't recall ever going to school a day in my life that I didn't assume or think that my mom would probably be dead when I got home.
A lot of that was because we lived back in those old cold houses, a house full of kids, not knowing if they were going to have pneumonia in the wintertime, if she was going to lose any of them, if we were going to have enough food for the winter, how we were going to make it through.
Avie Lee had a special way of dealing with her pain.
My mom sang a lot and played the guitar, and she would sing us the old folk songs, the old Scot-Irish laments, and, we'd all be crying around, in the living room.
Dolly began composing music even before she could read.
I was writing songs before I remember it, rhyming things. I started playing the guitar pretty good when I was about 7, and I started writing serious songs then.
In 1954, a relative helped the 8-year-old prodigy land a gig on the Cass Walker Show, a Knoxville radio program.
My uncle Bill Owens, who also was a great musician, great songwriter, he really took a special interest in me.
Dolly knew what she wanted to do when she was a baby, almost. I believe that. I mean, she knew she wanted to be a star.
The first time I ever sang, I was scared to death, of course, but when I heard all that applause and had to sing it again, I thought, wow, this is what I'm going to do.
Several years later, Uncle Bill paved the way for Dolly's first record deal. A small label, 800 miles away in Louisiana, agreed to give her a shot. In the studio, the little girl from the hills of Tennessee sang her heart out.
Oh, yeah, she felt like she was a woman of the world by the time she was 12.
Puppy Love was the first song I recorded. It's special to me, of course. It ain't good, but it's good that we got it.
The 45 RPM single was released in 1959. Dolly enjoyed her first taste of success and real puppy love.
Ed Schuler is the man that owned Gold Band Records in Lake Charles, Louisiana. And he had a son my age. He was just the prettiest thing I'd ever seen in my life. Oh, I just fell so hopelessly in love with him, as he did with me. Of course, when your puppy love turns into a full-grown dog, you kind of rethink some stuff.
Johnny and Dolly soon split, and puppy love went nowhere. Still, Dolly was fired up to take on Nashville, the country music capital. Uncle Bill went along for support.
200 miles or so from our home. We would roam around through Nashville, knocking on doors, trying to get somebody to listen to our songs and hear me sing, trying to get on a record label, be on the Grand Ole Opry.
Finally, the young performer got her chance.
I was probably 12 when I was on the Opry, and you weren't supposed to be on. I just tore the house down, too, which was a great thrill.
By the time she turned 16, Dolly was already sporting her trademark look.
Well, I'm not a natural beauty. I always, from the time I was a little bitty kid, you know, I didn't have good hair, and I wanted to look so glamorous. I really kind of took my look from what they call the town tramp. When we did get to go to town, I just thought this woman was beautiful, and she was considered like the town tramp. And I would say, you know, oh, she's so beautiful. And I'd say, that's how I want to look when I grow up. And Mom would say, oh, she's just trash. And I would say, hey, that's what I'm going to be when I grow up, trash.
Still, some of Dolly's assets were genuine.
God gave me plenty as it was, and I always felt like, well, if he hadn't wanted me to use all the stuff he gave me, you know, he'd probably given it to somebody else.
By 1962, stardom seemed almost within reach. Dolly made her second single, this time from Mercury Records.
It was called It May Not Kill Me, but It's Sure Gonna Hurt. Nothing happened with that, and then I went back home, finished high school.
The record was not a hit, nor was Dolly with some of her classmates.
I was very popular with the boys, but I was very unpopular with some of the snooty girls. The kids locked me in the closet, and I'm scared to death of the dark. And I'm claustrophobic also, and it was like the most horrible thing.
They called her a slut, which of course made the boys be nicer to her. They started rumors that she was pregnant, that she was raped. They were awful to her.
A lot of the mothers and the people thought I was just trash, and I wasn't really fit for their kids to be around, and their girls were the ones who were screwing around and drinking and doing stuff that I never did. And I wasn't sleeping with the boys, I was flirting with them.
In May 1964, 18-year-old Dolly Rebecca Parton graduated from Sevierville High School.
We were all sitting there so proud that she was the first one of us to get a high school diploma. And she gets up to say that she's moving to Nashville and she's going to be a star. And all these people that were in that auditorium, they giggled. Those are the same people that rush to meet her when she comes to town.
Coming up,
Pretty Miss Dolly Parton.
Hello, Dolly.
A lot of people think that I hired her because of her big boobs.
And later, goodbye, Dolly.
It's like commit suicide. Why? I'm waking up dead every day. This is Double D, Dolly and Dolly. I've always been intrigued, you know, with love and life, and of course sex is part of that. And I'm a very spiritual person. I'm a very, caring person. But I enjoy being a woman. I enjoy life and love, and all of that has just always felt real natural for me.
Before Dolly Parton took the country music capital by storm, she charmed the pants off a good-looking young buck named Carl Dean.
I met Carl the day that I got to Nashville in 1964. The last thing I wanted was a boyfriend, because I was serious about my music. I was serious about the work, and I thought, I do not want to get distracted because I got my life to get on with. But it was just one of those things that was meant to be.
The pair met outside the wishy-washy laundromat.
I had put dirty clothes that I'd brought from home in the laundromat. I'd never even used a laundromat. And here comes this guy, so handsome. And I had my little rib tickler on, my little red pants, and my little white belly was showing. So anyway, he just hollered something out the window like, "Hey, you're going to get sunburned out here." And I said, "Well, what's it to you?" You know, or something stupid like that. So he pulled over, and we just started talking, and that was it.
The